Welcome back to another episode of Cor Counsel, the show where we explore all things masculinity through 15 portals of conversation. I am your host, professional rugby player for Toulon and England, Kyle Sinckler. My co-host is Oliver James. Ollie has worked as a mentor with professional men within the worlds of sport, entertainment and business for the past decade. With that being said, let's get this show started. As mentioned, there are 15 portals of conversation which are all related to masculinity, which you can see on your screens right now. From here, Ollie will choose a portal, I'll initiate a question, we will then have a conversation for around 10 to 15 minutes on an answer which directly relates to men. Look, we all know you've got things to do, so we're going to get straight to the point. But before we begin, I just want to say a massive thank you to Vivo Barefoot for sponsoring the show. If you're serious about your performance, your body, or just wellness in general, you have to visit vivobarefoot.com for all of the latest and greatest in barefoot function and fashion. Guys, thank you so much for sponsoring the show. Ollie, what's the portal for today's show, bro?
All right, let's get the graphic up. Okay, let's have a little look. You know, I like to look at these illustrations.
Yeah. Very diligent.
Where's that? Having to count my numerals. Sorry, 6. Number 6, patterns.
Okay,
I'm gearing towards that today.
Okay, cool. Let's do it. Ollie, I have worked with you for some time now, and I know personally the importance of a weekly pattern, a daily pattern. Please just start us off, give us some context of what a pattern actually is and how you implement it into your daily life.
Oh, straight in. Okay.
Straight in, man.
Pattern, not routine, not to be confused with routine. Routine is rigid, strict. Pattern, having a daily pattern that leads into a weekly pattern is something to play with, something to adapt, something that's constantly changing, something to have fun with. How do I describe this teaching? 2 plus 2 equals
4.
I was getting worried there.
I thought it was a trick question. You never know.
You're worse at maths than I am. So if we just put a 2 and a 2 on a page, I mean, nobody likes maths, so I don't want to talk about this for long, but to just demonstrate the concept of a pattern. If we just put the number 2 twice on a page, what does it mean?
I don't know. What does it mean?
Well, yeah, the reason you're quiet is because it doesn't mean anything, right? It's just 2 2s on a page. Yeah. But if we put 2 and then a plus sign, an addition sign, and then the 2, and then an equal sign, what do we get?
4.
We just learned about pattern. So if 4 is our outcome, and success is unique to absolutely everybody. What it looks like to you, what it looks like to me. Your success is playing in the World Cup. My success is the role I have with clients and them achieving their goals in service to others, these kind of things, or as a writer, completing stories, completing books. Yeah. I know the outcome. That's the number at the end. To get there, we need the formula, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
So the pattern is the formula. And if you have an outcome and you want to achieve it, the only way to get there is to create a formula. That formula looks like your daily habits, your daily rituals, your daily practices, and how you implement them, string them together in order to create a rhythm of energy that leads to the outcome. So I don't like to use this term, but essentially as a performance coach for men within professional sport, business, etc., the first thing I do, the fundamental teaching is, what is the outcome? What is the goal? That's the end result. And how do we build a formula, a pattern of habits, rituals, practices that gets you to that end result?
Yeah.
Just having 2 and 2 on a page, just having a whole bunch of practices thrown around everywhere, or even a very strict, rigid routine that is not adaptable. Yeah. You're doing the same thing over and over again, getting the same result, and it's not the result you want. The definition of madness, essentially. A pattern is something you can adapt. And as I say, as a performance coach, if we use that term, not to put it down, but sometimes I don't really know what to call myself. But if we do that, if we call it that, then when it comes to a client that I'm working with who wants to achieve a certain goal in terms of performance, whatever the craft may be, that is the first thing we implement, a pattern.
No, for me, I feel in my own experiences, from a routine to a pattern, it's the difference that you gave me the knowledge in terms of building energy and the consistency of that. For me, I'm going to be honest, I didn't follow a pattern for a long time when we worked with each other.
I'm glad you were honest with that, because we had some success initially, but then you definitely, I mean, I think it would be fair to say that your stubbornness got in the way of following the pattern
100%.
at times. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's more, if I'm being honest, it's more it's the difference between a routine and a pattern. So for instance, the problems I had was I was so ingrained in my routine, Ollie, and it was into me like second nature. It was hard for me to let go. So for instance, I'll give you an example. Say I wake up in the morning and I'm sore, I'm tired. Training was pretty tough the day before. My routine says, Kyle, you need to do this extra weight session, or you need to do a running session. And for me, in my mental state, I'm like, I have to do it because I feel guilty. Whereas with the pattern, it's like you're so in tune to your body energetically, and you have the tools available to you. You can adjust, and then instead of forcing it, you can do what you actually need to do to get yourself energetically in a right place. To then at the end of the week, for me anyway, I'm in a place to perform. You know, so that's my kind of take on the difference of a routine and a pattern.
Yeah, you're right. Awesome. Sound like a pastor, don't I? Yeah, just like,
you're like a proud proud
yeah.
performance coach. You're like, we finally got here.
Yeah, you got it. And you know, when you have stuck to building that energy through rhythm and tuned into your body and listened to that and removed the stubbornness, we've had success in certain tournaments and these kind of things. And it's when you've strayed from that, building the rhythm of energy to achieve the outcome, the number, the result, the energy result, that's when there's been problems. And I think that's what you mentioned there, being tuned in. We group the practices by way of, quite simply, physical, mental, spiritual, building a routine, a pattern around that. And it is kind of, the reason I say routine is because essentially it is a routine from the perspective of they're all in a place and you know when you wake up what you're doing. But if your body isn't feeling it in that day, you have to tune into your body and know that I can adapt this and still put my head on the pillow at night at peace. That's the whole point. The sensation of peace that you get when you put your head on the pillow at night determines whether or not you achieve the desired result that day in terms of the practices and completing them and building energy, building that flow of energy, building that rhythm. And then we put them into, what do we put them into? Quite simply, in terms of categories.
Okay, so from my experience with working with you, we have 3 categories. We've got the bronze, the silver, and the gold week. So depending on, for instance, in my line of work, say for instance, if I've had a Sunday game to a Friday game, that's a short turnaround. So we'll probably go for a bronze week. So it's like, look, you just need to do what you need to do to get yourself to a place where you can perform on the weekend. If you've got a Saturday, a 7-day turnaround, or even longer, then that's a gold week, and that's where you hit all your practices that you kind of want to hit. Just in terms of those practices, Ollie, could you just give us an insight to what that might look like? Because I'm sure I have the luxury of knowing kind of what this is. Could you just kind of give us some insight into like what it might look like, maybe a typical day for someone following a pattern?
To be honest with you, these days, I think it's quite common knowledge in terms of, especially because of social media, there's so much output now in terms of us visually seeing practices like, for example, hot and cold contrast therapy through sauna and ice, these kind of things, breathing techniques, which would be maybe more of a spiritual practice, incorporating even reading into your pattern, which is more of a mental development. Concentration is vital in sport. If you can't concentrate on a page for more than, or the pages of a book for more than 10 minutes, how are you going to concentrate for 80? Physical practice, of course, weightlifting, different types of weightlifting, martial arts or something that we incorporate into it. And a lot of this stuff 10 years ago, the way we were approaching it was quite unique. Now it's pretty much common knowledge. All of these practices, let's say we group them physical, mental, spiritual, and then into gold, silver, and bronze. Gold week is, we've got a full week to play with. We're trying to achieve the result on a game day, a Saturday, whatever somebody else's result might be, whatever they need to achieve for. It might be a business meeting, it might be a school presentation. We're dealing with different age ranges of people here. It can be anything. It might be a movie that somebody's acting on, or YouTube video they're creating as a content creator, piece of music they're developing, whatever it is, you have that gold week of pattern. You know you're going to hit it week upon week as many times as you can to achieve a rhythm of energy that enables you to perform. And that's just a formula. A formula, 2 + 2 will always be 4. Of course, right? But then if you start bringing in different variations of modality, I guess, in terms of you can apply science and all these things to why you're doing what you're doing. But I think maths is far more, it's always correct, if that makes sense. 2 + 2 always
and it's
be 4.
easier to comprehend for me anyway. Like it's very simple to the point. It's like, it makes sense. Whereas sometimes science can be a bit confusing.
Yeah. People can argue about religion. They can argue about science. You can get different results. But if you focus on maths in the sense of the formula, no one's going to argue that 2 + 2 is 4. We know that's correct or it's not correct. So you're figuring out what gets you to that result week upon week and is always correct. When you find that formula, which is what we work on slowly but surely, adapting, fine-tuning, it's like, okay, you can achieve that performance on the pitch or whatever your craft is every single week when you hit that gold week. And you keep adapting it, fine-tuning it until you get that result. From there, a silver week, you might have a different structure that you're working around. A bronze week, even less time. So you have different patterns that work around, you know, the gold week is going to be peak. And, you know, the bronze week is going to be trying to get to optimum, and silver week might be optimum. But either way, you know, maybe bronze week, you might be just under, but you do what you, and I'm sure you've had a few of those.
You just get through. You just get through. But I would say, Ollie, once you've built the momentum in the pattern, like you can afford, it's not like you're taking days off, but it's like I can do a bit less because if I'm not feeling great after a game, for me, for example, I can do a little bit less because I have built the pattern over, I don't know, 6 months, a year, or however long it has been. So I built up that energy. As long as I do the things to keep me ticking over, I know I'll get to a place to perform. Ollie, as we are closing out, I just want you to touch on how important it is for, I would say, discipline and structure for a man to be successful. You know, like the pattern for me, I hold my hands up, guys. I was very stubborn. I didn't listen for a number of years. And then once I started to implement it into my life, I noticed changes like that instantly. So could you just shed some light on, you know, how important structure and discipline is for a man to be successful in whatever craft he's doing?
I think you can kind of turn that into discipline is a patience. You know, I had to be patient with you because I knew you were going to flourish. I knew you were going to get it eventually, but I've had to remain patient, and that's required discipline. When it comes to the pattern, have patience. Training is an art. Okay, there's lots of science views, and I don't know anything about that. That's not my speciality. My speciality in life is art. How do things feel? How does this make your body feel? I mean, I've sat with numerous professional rugby coaches. I'm not going to name names or teams, you know, but I've sat with international rugby teams. I've sat with super rugby teams, even teams in the MLR, and explained these pathways. And something that is maybe rejected in rugby can be it's a bit of a dinosaur age, you know, it came from the amateur world. Of course, it's gone professional, but sometimes the thinking can be a little bit...
There's a lot of elements that are very very amateur still, Ollie. Like
still a little bit ancient, and progressing people's thinking to them. You know, there are a few teams I was going to go into. One of them was stopped because of COVID when that was all going on. But implementing this, a lot of the coaches would get to the point whereby they would start to see how building the energy in this way and the art form of it was a pathway that maybe they could incorporate with the science and these kind of things, bring balance. But people eventually, some of these head coaches sort of got a little bit scared because maybe we're scared to tune into the body in this way. When we tune into the body and we tune into the mind and we tune into the spirit in this way, sometimes we find things we don't want to feel. And there is a bit of a process with that. So you've got to have patience is what I'm trying to say. And that's the discipline. The discipline to have patience with tuning into your body. You're not going to have a successful season every season. It's better to build up into that success by finding that rhythm. And even if it takes 4 years, everybody wants it now, right? Because of again, social media, these kind of things, you are used to instant gratification, the instant hit. I think it's something we have to teach the younger generation is patience, discipline, allow things to bloom, allow things to flourish. It might take 4 years, but on the 4th year, you'll have the best experience from then on available to you because you had the patience to refine your pattern of practices until you found the right formula.
Ollie, those teams that it didn't manifest and didn't work out with is Cor Counsel's game, man, for sure. Because every time we step on this mic and camera, you're firing me up, bro. Thank you, as always, for your insight, your knowledge, and your wisdom, Ollie. It's a pleasure. Thank you, guys. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. Please do not forget to hit that like button. Also, follow us on all our social media platforms. If you like what you heard from Ollie today and want to learn more, visit saveyourworld.com and follow Save Your World on Instagram. Guys, thank you as always for making us part of your day. We will catch you all next episode. Take care.